Trevor, a surefire sign that somebody is currently not active on the roster is when he looks at two reporters and says, "It's good to see you guys," because nobody says that here in the clubhouse. Okay, when we go in there, so obviously being detached from it right now, and you've been through this with other injuries. You want to be around, but you've also got to take care of yourself. It's a strange question, I think, but like, which is easier? Is it tougher being around because you're here and you can't help? Is it tougher being away because you're so far removed? I mean, I'm sure neither one is a lot of fun, but how different are those two experiences when you're with the team while injured or when you're away doing the rehab?
Yeah, I think both kind of present different challenges, and everybody's different. I think I've always been such a guy that loves being around, and I'm just obsessed with baseball and love being around the team and trying to help any way I can. And I felt like last year I was able to do a lot of that. I was able to be more present because I was rehabbing with the team, and being more there on an everyday basis helps a lot with that, obviously. So, missing games is tough, and being away from my boys in the squad is tough, no matter, if you're playing or, if I'm there with them personally or not. But it's been a different type of perspective taking, being away from the team a little bit. And just because there's, like, as much as I want to be there, there's not much that I can do about not playing baseball right now, So just trying to be in the best situation that I can right now for my rehab, and just mentally too. That's going a long way for me, and I'm feeling good about where I'm at in the process.
Well, I think anyone who's watching this would say that that's really good to hear, because it was painful, very candidly, to navigate those couple of days and around you, and to see what you were going through when you got the injury, when you kind of got the when you got confirmation that it was going to be season ending and require require surgery. How have you gotten through that, and where are you at now in terms of just the emotions of having this thing taken away from you again? And was there a turning point or some key conversations that just allowed you to kind of move beyond that very wounded initial reaction?
Yeah. Like you said, those days were tough. Those are, some pretty dark days. And I think, I haven't really felt that type of emotion or that type of feelings, really ever. And I think, navigating through those and just really, being vulnerable a little bit and talking about it, and just embracing it, to where, I'm not going to, obviously I wasn't, in a great mind space as we learned the news, and that doesn't just go away, overnight. So it's been really good to work through those things, and, like I said, embrace them, because I feel like if you don't and you just act like everything's all good and everything's roses, then you never really process it, and you just got to give it time to work through those things. And I've felt really good about that, and I think that's been something I've been able to do a little better, removed from the team a little bit. So, and it's there's still dark days, but I think my perspective of baseball means so much to me in my life, and my family, and it always has. And I think when it's taken away, this is almost 2 years in a row where I haven't been able to play, like I have for my whole life. So you find a way, and you find out some things about yourself, and you learn things about yourself that you learn to deal with, and you learn to get better in different areas of my life. And I think that's what I've been able to do.
The beauty of baseball, Trevor, right, is it's such a thinking game, right? But because of that, I feel more than other sports, the players, those of us who cover it, you're just always thinking about baseball. You're always thinking about scenarios. You're always thinking about what's going on. And, you sort of talk about the mental health part of it, right? And Chris Martin is on the IL right now, right? And I thought it was really courageous. He didn't try to say it was a physical injury. He said, no, I'm dealing with some mental health issues right now. And the team, obviously, baseball has become so much better at supporting you guys when you're dealing with that. But for you, having been through the roller coaster the last few years, what have you learned about that? What have you learned about taking care of yourself, the mental health challenges, and making sure that you're good and you're getting the support you need? How much have you learned through the process?
Oh, so much. I think the perspective, like I said, and I think this is true for a lot of people at our level, is that baseball is such an, big part, if not the whole part of your identity. Um, and when that's taken away from you, sometimes can feel, you know, not yourself. And I think finding ways to deal with that, and like I said, being open and embracing these things, like Big Rig has been. I think that's the only way to do it. And I think the perspective, like when you can't play the game, you realize how much you love it. You realize how much of your time and effort and energy goes into it. And you realize too how much stress it puts on you. But I think being able to compartmentalize the game for me is what I've learned the best. Is like, if I don't, baseball has run my life for pretty much my whole life, and I think not giving it so much power, has been something that's helped me.
Are you as you go through this rehab process? Actually, let's dig it on that a little bit. What is the rehab process like right now? What is the outlook in terms of has it been reassuring in terms of what will be possible on the baseball side, or where are you at? What do you know about what the future on the field looks like for you?
Yeah, it's been a challenging process, man. I couldn't have imagined it to be this hard, in the beginning. And I think, I kind of expected it to be something that was a little easier than the elbow, and that's certainly not the case. I think this one is, and I think shoulder surgery in general has, the people I've talked to, they say it's one of the most challenging ones. And it's turned out to be a unique injury to where, not just the labrum, but the fracture and the place of the fracture, and just kind of things that you can't see that go on. You can see the fracture, you can see the labrum, but there's just a lot of trauma that happened to my shoulder that you can't really see. And, just being patient, and that's been the hardest part, but given where I'm at now, as opposed to, a month ago, is crazy. The amount of progress that we've made. So I'm really happy about that. And I think that's why it makes sense to be out here with my PTs out here in California, because it's like we said, a very unique injury, and something that, they haven't seen a lot of it, but they've seen a little bit more of it than anybody else. So it makes sense.
I will ask, you mentioned that it is unique, and I don't remember encountering both a fracture and labrum damage, but I think everyone, like, whatever, like a month ago when Xander suffered his injury, was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe that we're seeing something so similar. Have you been in touch with Xander about his? You loved playing with Xander. You guys were great teammates. How much did that hurt to see him kind of experiencing something similar?
Man, right away, I reached out to him and I was like, hopefully it's not surgery, bro. Hopefully this is something that you can avoid having surgery, and it's something, not as serious. And turned out it was, thank God. And I think, it was crazy. Someone told me about it and I was like, no way, dude. Like, this type of injury to happen, and, to a ex-teammate and to Bogey, and like have it happen the same way was just, that was crazy to think that would happen. And, but yeah, thank goodness that he's doing well. And I know he'll bounce back, because it sounds like his was in a little better situation than mine.
This team, keeping an eye on what they've been doing. I've used the word resilient on more post game shows than I think I've ever used in one season before, right? I mean, it's, say what you want about hanging around 500, but they've been doing it as the injuries have mounted and all of that, right? I mean, you've been out for pretty much the year. O'Neill and Devers have both been dealing with knees. You've had Casas on the 60-day. I mean, the injuries have just piled up. When you watch this team, what strikes you most about what they've done? And clearly it goes the other way, right? There are times like after Chicago, you're like, yeah, it's still a 500. But then they come back and beat the Phillies. You're like, oh, hey, they're 500, right? 500 can come at you from a number of ways. Give us your sort of assessment from 3,000 miles, what you've seen from this team.
Yeah, I'm riding the wave with you guys, man. This is always awesome game, awesome win. It's just been fun to watch the young guys kind of step up. Like you guys said, it's been the amount of injuries has been incredible, and to like everyday guys that we're really relying on to post and to be a big part of our team, and the way they've stepped up has been so fun to watch because that's a big sign of maturity, and you can see them starting to gain more confidence in their game. Looking at Hamilton and Rafaela, I think he's just scratching the surface. And Duran, these guys, Abreu, that's a lot of young guys that are contributing. I think if you get one or two of those guys in a normal season to contribute like they are, then that's really good. But we got 4 or 5 guys doing that, not to mention the bullpen. So it's been fun to watch, and like you said, very resilient, very gritty team, and just seems like the boys are competing.